And we are live. Good evening, everyone. It's another crazy countdown to Reno day as controversy just tends to pile up and people become a little bit more aggressive and unstable the closer we get to Reno. But the good news is there's going to be good stuff happening at Reno as well. And I'm looking forward to a really bright future, in spite of the fact that we might get saddled with some debt. So there's been a lot of discussion over whether or not the LNC should take out a line of credit to cover some of its costs. And last I saw, they were talking about shifting that over to an in-person meeting, which I think is fantastic and probably a better way to handle it than an email motion. But Todd, can you sort of give us a breakdown of what the heck is going on? And I know that you've been sounding the alarm on this for at least a couple of months.
Sure. So there's a few different things going on right now. So first of all, the bad budget in general, and that's what we've been spending the last couple of months, is that they straight line this budget, which means they had no idea how much revenue was coming in each month. They didn't know how much expenses were going out each month. When you do a budget like that and you start to get behind in revenue, which is what has happened over the first 2 months, $100,000 behind, now 3 months in, about $150,000 behind, you start running into cash flow issues, which is 100% predictable, because now you have less money coming in, but you're spending money at a higher rate, and you didn't know when the flows were coming in and out. So that's essentially what's happened now. We've gone from having about $112,000 worth of unrestricted cash after the first 2 months down to about $54,000 of unrestricted cash. Now, the LP, it's probably important to note, has like $300K in cash. Okay, they just have cash in accounts that they can't get at because they're allocated for other things, and that's fine. But the unrestricted cash is important because that's what you're allowed to spend for everyday things. So the problem is now they have not only had this shortfall in unrestricted cash, but they also had this stuff that they've promised people that they're going to spend. Just recently, they've decided to spend an additional $50,000 in ballot access, which they moved from one part of the budget to another, which again is completely okay if you know when your cash flows are coming in and out, which they clearly didn't. This was a matter of weeks ago. Should not have been a surprise, but now all of a sudden it is. So there's $50,000 of ballot access that they're trying to get immediately. There's $85,000 of money that literally just gets transferred into another account, and no one's been able to explain why that has to happen immediately, but they're asking for that right away. So that's $135,000. So what they're asking for is a $250,000 credit line that'll immediately have a $135,000 draw on it, which means we pay interest right away to fund these things that they knew were coming. They knew we had no money, and suddenly it's urgent. And then they tried to pass it through a midnight meeting, which gladly now, due to all of us trying to apply pressure, is probably going to be at least an in-person meeting, because almost everybody in every corner of libertarianism has been against this rapid fire, basically mortgage idea. So that's essentially where we're at. Now, one key thing is it only costs about $80,000 a month to run the LP. We have 54. That's not a great position, but we brought in over 100 each month so far. So theoretically, we can continue running the LP by bringing in 100 and spending 80 if we don't spend these extra amounts. And so that's what people have to understand as we start to decide, are we going to actually take this loan or not? So then what they did is they came up with two ideas now. The first idea is $250,000 home equity, mortgage credit line. The second idea is to actually use the cash on hand to take a loan against that. And that's a much better idea, in my opinion. It does not bog you down from the mortgage. It's actually a lower rate.
Todd, your signal's getting a little weak. So what Todd is basically saying is that it's not the only option.
Less the way that they.
Todd, your signal's a little weak.
Okay, if you guys want to jump in with questions, and I'll try and field them.
Yeah. So basically what Todd is saying, and Todd, you broke up there for a couple of seconds at the end, is that this isn't the only option, that a line of credit against the building isn't the only option. And a line of credit against the current cash reserve would also be an option. I think right now what's happening in the overall dialogue is that everybody's saying we have to do this. It's the only thing we can do. And anybody who opposes it, they're saying, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is what businesses do. This is stupid. Everybody takes out a line of credit. It's not a big deal. And I think that it's really like a false choice. And having an in-person meeting to discuss that will probably flesh that out a little bit more. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Anybody?
The one thing I'll just say is that the one good point that has been made is that they probably should have had this line of credit in place all along. Had it there in case of an emergency. We should never have to be applying for a line of credit when you're in the midst of an emergency. That's not a good place to be from a finance perspective. So it should have been there. There should have been clear red rules around when it can be touched and for what reasons. Those things would have been for things like operating expenses, salary, building, not for things like ballot access and transferring money from one account to another.
Yeah. What I would love to see in the future is for us to actually have enough cash set aside that isn't a problem. And that's going to be something that we have to tackle once we get into our positions. I mean, it's something that we've certainly been discussing, but as far as really putting together a plan, that's probably going to come a little bit later. But we've got to start fundraising and pulling up some more money. Now, I think that Stephen Nikela had a decent take on it. I'm not totally sure if I agree, but I'm going to share it maybe if I can here for a second and read it. And it's if we can get it to work. Come on. Yes, I want to share it. Here we go. And he says that this line of credit is at prime rate, currently 3.5% plus 0.5, which is dirt cheap money. And he says, secondly, this revolving line of credit means that we'll have $250,000 in credit available to use as collateral, and that we should be able to use convention revenue to pay off the outstanding balance post-convention, which is only a few months away. Now, it's actually not a few months away. It's less than 2 months away. Someone's got feedback. The need to cover these immediate costs, ballot access for both New York and Alabama is what leveraging debt intelligently is made for. We do not want to lose ballot access, as getting it back will be orders of magnitude more expensive than maintaining it. And we have promises from New York to help us fundraise once it's covered. The problem is we need the money up front, not after July. We must also fully fund the Frontier project in order to keep our big projects on track. So, you know, he says, I was extremely hesitant when approaching this and did my due diligence and have determined that this is a smart use of credit. Debt is your friend when you use it wisely. So I don't think I'd go so far as to say debt is my friend, but I think that was like a reasonable plea for a line of credit. Do you see any issues in it, Todd?
No, I mean, debt, I use debt all the time in my businesses and in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Debt is used well if you use it with a plan. Okay, so again, the line of credit should have been in place, but let's get past that for a minute. Prime plus 0.5% at the moment is 4%. That is reasonably cheap money. However, prime is a variable rate and will go up as the Fed raises interest rates.
Correct.
4 to 6 times over the next year and a half. So that's, now you're talking about 5.5%. The other loan that they're looking at is prime plus 0. That's the loan that goes after using your actual accounts. So that's better than prime 0.5 and does not put the building in.
Okay.
So that's the one that I would prefer, unless they have more money, because that one is smaller. And so that's part of what I'd asked originally was, if you guys are missing by $50,000 every month, are you sure you only need $250,000? because it's not easy to go back to the bank and be like, whoops, we just spent the entire loan. Now we need another 250. Like, determine that need now and then ask.
Right. Yeah, that's really good thinking. And that kind of, that's related to the problem that we have now where we're not looking at our budget month by month. Because how do we really know what we need if we're not examining it in an intelligent way? I feel like that's kind of what got us here in the first place.
Right.
So, the budget is frustrating. There's really nothing we as a group can do about it. Just going into Reno with our elections, we're just going to have to handle it as gracefully as possible. If we get stuck with a bunch of debt, we're going to have to try to pay it off as quickly as possible and not lean into that problem. We're going to try to correct it and be creative with our fundraising. And it's like there's always something new every week, right? Like this is the thing now, but the reality is we still got to keep the party functioning in spite of all of this like budget drama and potential line of credit. We've got to continue with affiliate support. We've got to continue with candidate support. I care very much about the Frontier project. I think it's important. I'm not 100% sold on a line of credit to bail it out. I feel very conflicted about that. And I think that's why meetings are really good. Like if it's a Zoom meeting or in person, as close as in person as you can so that people can actually discuss this stuff. So I do like that they're going to do that instead of an email ballot. But, going forward, besides fiscal responsibility, we have a lot of other good ideas. Actually, some ideas that sort of tie into that, right? We're going to need to become more creative with our fundraising. And I think that we can do that in a way that touches on more than one goal, right? Like, I want to support our affiliates. I want to support our candidates. I would like to get people engaged in the national party and have them actually feel good about it and generate, something that they can share and be proud of that's interesting. Because one of the critiques that a lot of us have about the current LNC, the Libertarian Party at the national level, is that a lot of the merchandise and a lot of the messaging is stale. Even aside from people being really harsh critics and saying it sucks or you don't like this tweet or that, like just when you look at it objectively, it's just kind of stale. And I think that we would be doing a great job if we could spruce things up a little bit without having a dramatic branding change, tanking everything, nothing like that. And Linnea here, who's also running for an LNC position, had some really good ideas about how to go about that. Do you want to share some of your cool thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, some of the tying it into our merchandise we already have and fundraising. I feel like we have merchandise, but we're not responsive with it. We don't make it important. We don't bring it to the forefront. It just kind of sits there. And so what I'd kind of like to see going forward is using our merchandise a little more pointed, like having an email campaign where we do a fundraiser for a shirt design that someone made. Give the party more of an option to get involved, because some of us, some people get involved in the party and they're great artists, or they're just really creative and they have things to offer that other people will buy. So like, why not combine those things and also give use to our merchandise? So, I mean, if you have holidays or you just have some kind of fundraising campaign based on something we've been doing or something relevant, someone creates a design, send that through the email instead of just letting, our store sit there. And I know people order from it sometimes, but we'd like to generate a little more action. I don't think we should ever have something that we just babysit, that we don't ever, utilize. And you can also use that for affiliate support. Like another thing I'd like to see is if any affiliate, like any county affiliate, it can be a state affiliate, but if any county affiliate, if they're working on a cool project, shoot that through the email. Let them create a fundraiser that the entire LP can support. Like, we want to hear about that stuff in our email, that a county affiliate's doing something cool. I would donate to that if I knew that they were trying to achieve a goal. Just anything to kind of increase the feedback between the party and the individual a little bit more.
That's awesome. Angela, you're muted. But I wanted to say that I love this idea because I'm so passionate about activating the new libertarians, or the out in the cold libertarians that want to be engaged. But what tends to happen with the party is that they're just sort of like, oh, the party, they deal with elections, they deal with every 4 years, every 2 years, and then we just sort of let them have it, the LNC or whoever, as opposed to having this be this great movement generating machine that, and I love this crowdsourcing the LP idea, funneling our vast amount of enthusiasm and financial resources using crowdfunding to those small projects that inspire us, and those will inspire other people to copycat and innovate on those, and suddenly that's how you feed a groundswell movement. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. We really need to, like, one of the things that we're going to have to do when we take over leadership roles. Everyone can chill out. Like, these are just semantics. One of the things that we have to do is we have to rehabilitate the image of the Libertarian Party in the eyes of a lot of people. And people who don't agree with us, they don't like that. They're like, nothing needs to change. That's not correct. That's not forward thinking. And it's not even coming from a place of harsh criticism. Like, you're just trying to keep up with the times. You're trying to maintain relevancy. You're trying to engage with new audiences and get people like passionate and interested in you. And this is one of the ways to do that. And it's like, you can rehabilitate the party's image by doing good work and by reaching out and getting people engaged, and also supporting people. Because I know we're a political party, but I think it's also really important that we become like, we really lean into the fact that we're a community. And I think that's something the Mises Caucus does really well. Like, if somebody is in financial trouble, if somebody comes upon some sort of tragedy, like, we're there to help them. We help each other out. Like, if you're looking for work, or, if you're running for office in Colorado, California people will phone bank for you. And I think this is just another way to really get that engagement and buy-in. And like, what we really want to do is we want to develop trust with people so that they associate with us in a positive way. So one of the people who's, I think, doing a really good job of getting the word out about the Libertarian Party, and doing a really good job managing his affiliates' persona and brand, is Connor. Connor, I would love to hear a little bit about your experience running social media in Michigan, and remind everybody what position you're running for. Just fill us in on what's been going on in your neck of the woods.
Hello, everybody. I'm the communications director for the Libertarian Party of Michigan. I've been managing, LPMI social media since 2019, and I'm currently running for Region 3 alternate. So, in my experience of running social media for the Michigan Party, we actually just eclipsed tripling the following of the Facebook page over the last 3 years. And that was in the face of getting some very severe restrictions put on by Facebook for some pretty innocuous content, and changes to the algorithm in the middle of 2020. And so we're finally in a position where, we're building momentum again, increasing our reach and adding new followers every day and constantly. Twitter, I've only ran the Twitter, Libertarian Party Michigan Twitter, for about a year now, and we've seen a 50% increase in our following. And it's thanks, Daniel. It actually, with social media, is you get momentum going with anything else, and you start seeing some tremendous gains very quickly. So it's all about maintenance. It's all about doing little things that can impact the algorithm. And I'm not going to get too into details with the algorithm now, but I'm experienced in maintaining that. I'm actually working on a document that I am hoping to distribute to people nationwide and present to the state party affiliate in particular, so we can get more people trained on social media. But it really comes down to being quick and responsive to the news cycle. So very recently, for example, Angela, do you have those screen grabs ready?
I do not. Where did you send them?
They are in the Discord.
Okay, that's I will hunt for them.
Sure. So it's pretty much you take any kind of topical issue in the news cycle and you need to be on it quickly. And typically in the past, it would simply be, hey, you have to draft a press release or write an article to the editor and or post something on your own website and hope it gets picked up by the media, with social media, you have your own built-in audience of tens of thousands of people, and they can instantly read and share a message that can very quickly reach tens of thousands more people. And with an audience like the National Party, I believe our following on Twitter, I can actually look it up right now,
Please
is something
do.
I want to guess. Last time I looked, like 2 million followers. It's probably more now. But oh no, I was way off. 219,000 followers.
Yeah.
I could have sworn at one point I'm thinking of someone else.
We'll
But
get it there. We'll get it there.
it's all about growing and doing the little things that matter. And that's what comes into play when you're doing social media work. It's not just about the message, though obviously the message is tremendously important. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that people don't automatically see. Is people don't complain about it's easy for someone to see what they think is a bad message and to complain and write something off. It's another thing to have months and months and months of growth, and it's a lot of work and a lot of maintenance. It's something I'm willing to do. It's something I'm willing to teach people to do and to construct a team of people to manage this thing and to hopefully get to that point where the National Party has 1 million followers on Twitter. And hopefully that's just a start.
Okay, let's look at some of the stuff you gave me. I did find it. I found it. So these are pretty great. The IRS steals more than any cyber criminal could ever dream of.
Yeah. And
Ripping on the IRS, which seems like pretty low-hanging fruit. Like I
Right.
think almost anyone could do that.
yeah, it's always an easy win to just dunk on federal agencies, especially the ones that shouldn't exist, all of them. But it's I was very proud of this one in the thread. And obviously, here in Michigan, for a little background, is Governor Whitmer launched a lawsuit against the state, actually, to overturn a law that was passed in the 1930s that was to outlaw abortion. And of course, being the Democrat she is and virtue signaling to her base, she of course refers to bodily autonomy and the right to privacy. So, and of course, being one of the most tyrannical governors in this country, during COVID, she has no right to claim anything about bodily autonomy. She didn't go so far as to mandate vaccinations in the state, so I can respect that to a certain extent.
Right.
But
Could be
Democrats
worse.
do not have a record of consistently adhering to protecting bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
So it's, especially in the face of hypocrisy, it's an easy way to get wins in our base, to just dunk on these people when they are exposing themselves as hypocrites.
Yeah, our greatest power is that we speak the truth, and their greatest weakness is that they will lie for power every time.
Absolutely.
All right. So that was fantastic. So you use, Connor, you focus on Facebook and Twitter?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
I'm actually expanding into TikTok with the help of a volunteer. Shout out to my buddy Andy Coons. He's been sending me ideas and scripts, and I've just been, going over them with him, adding my own thoughts and how to directions to push the message in a little bit.
Yeah.
And he started doing this in February and immediately reached out to me for support. And with the work we've been doing, we've grown his following to like 30,000 followers in just the last couple months. And granted, I'm not a TikToker, but I'm so happy to have a volunteer who is willing to do it and to shoot videos and to work with me on scripts. And it's really what it's all about when you're creating a team, is you need people to specialize in things.
Yes.
And you need a leader who can guide people into certain directions and who can provide good feedback and, really make the message better. And so we need to just do that with National, just get a whole team of people together. I'm not really sure who's exactly has the keys to the various socials right now. I don't know how National structures work actually. So I'd like to explore that.
Yeah, we've had some insight on that, but it is a big mystery and something that I would love to change in the future to take some of that mystery away. So Linnea has also done some work on TikTok in Arkansas, I think. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I've done minimal, but we have a great TikTok team. I think that's where we shine. We've got 2 people who manage it, and like Connor said, yeah, we just need to put people in those positions who really like thrive and enjoy that, because we've had different platforms in our state, but if they didn't launch, it's because the person wasn't, you need someone with that passion. So as soon as we got someone in there for TikTok, they sent me some stats earlier. So I think we've only had it up for, it's got to be under a couple of months. I think maybe 3, but it's done better than any other platform that we have. I think we just now got to 1,200 followers. We have 22,900 likes and 300,000 views. So like, I know one of our first TikToks, maybe the first one, I already had like 11,000 views. I don't know. That to me, that's impressive. I don't think that's a super common thing. So you really need people, exactly like Connor said, to drive that algorithm. And that's something that one of the platform managers for our TikTok does, is she really understands that. Like, that's her thing. She's like, I know she knows what audio to use that day because it's trending and all those things. So we just need like good research on that level to be able to keep up with what everyone else is doing on those platforms.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's at Arkansas Libertarian Party. And one of the first things that jumps out at me when I'm scrolling through and looking at the whole profile is the branding is really on point and the color content is really consistent. And it's all videos, not just stills. And I think that that's a mistake that a lot of people make when they first get on TikTok, because they're like, I'll just throw up a photo and that'll be good enough. But it's really not. Like, that's, sure, you could technically do that, but that's not good content. But yeah, Arkansas Libertarian Party, your TikTok is awesome. I commend you. I think that's probably the best state affiliate TikTok I've seen. We're working on getting that together in California, but we're not there yet. We're doing an aggressive reworking of social media and communications in California. So shout out to that team. They're doing a fantastic job. Victor, Elizabeth Stump, Rachel Nix. So those are some highlights of some things that you can look forward to when we take over. It's going to suck if we end up taking the reins and we're saddled with debt. But if we are, we're going to work as hard as possible to fundraise. And we're going to be using a lot of these ideas to generate new revenue streams for the party and hopefully build some brand trust with people and get people really excited and enthusiastic. And some of the people that we need their buy-in the most are our state affiliates. And I hope that by helping them and actually providing like real resources and doing a really good internal marketing campaign so that people are made aware, I hope that we can start restoring trust and building a better relationship between state and national. So you guys, if people want to find out about your race, what you're doing, if you're going to be at conventions, if you have a website, now is a great time to plug that. Todd, how can people follow you?
Yep. So you can find me at Twitter at Todd Hagopian, Hagopian. Website is www.toddhagopian.com. I'm on Facebook as well, Todd Hagopian, Libertarian Organizer. Not doing any more conventions. I'm done with that. But feel free to email or message or interact. And I will be all over the place talking about budget here over the near term. Thanks.
There you go. Connor, how about you?
I don't have a website. I am going to Ohio's convention in just a couple weeks. And other than that, see everybody in Reno.
There you go. And Joseph, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Joseph Eklund. I am on Twitter. I'm not quite as active there. I'm just an avid liker. And that would be Joseph C. Eklund. And I'm under the handle Root Digger, I think. And yeah, we've got the Wisconsin convention, along with Ohio being the last stragglers after the deadline. And but we're gonna rock this one and send our fleet to go to Reno and bring us all into the party leadership, so that we can really make this something to be proud of. I'm super glad to be part of this with you guys.
And what are you running for?
Oh, I'm running for Region 6.
There you go. Okay, and Linnea, how about you?
I am running for Region 7. You can find me on Facebook, probably better than any other platform. I'm definitely open to all messages, emails, discussions, Zooms, whatever you want. I'll probably be reaching out to most of you in my region. I've already we've put a cap on all of our conventions, so we're done with our region. And for the rest of it, I'll see you all in Reno.
Thank you, Linnea. I'm excited. I'm excited for our future together. So I will be attending the Kansas Libertarian Party convention coming up soon. I'm excited to meet some more people there. That's going to be my last convention stop. I went 8 or 9 weeks in a row and I had to take a break. So I'm on a little break right now. I believe Alaska has a convention this weekend, and then there's several more next weekend. And then Ohio and Wisconsin are the last. And then we're going to see you all in Reno. And everyone knows I'm very accessible on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My website is angelamcardle.com. And if you support the work I'm doing, you can support me at patreon.com/Angela McArdle. I am about to drop some stuff that I have been working on in California on Patreon about change management and strategic planning. And all of that stuff is very relevant to what we're going to be doing at the national level. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We are going to have several other live streams coming up, and we're going to be discussing different ideas by many of the other people in the Mises Caucus who are running for positions in the national party, and we're gearing up for Reno. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
All right.